Hello, I'm Pete Torriello.
And I'm Maureen Torriello.
And we are the Sonic Boomers. This is Sonic Boomers episode number 68, Maureen.
That means there are 67 others to check out.
That's right. And if you haven't heard it before, it's new to you. So check out all of our previous episodes. Maureen made an interesting observation.
Well, of course I did. I always am interesting.
One of them is modesty. We were driving up the Garden State Parkway, and of course, if you're a New Jerseyan, you spend your life on the Garden State Parkway.
Well, that's why it's the Garden State Parkway.
Especially if you're trying to get down the shore on Friday night. But you made an interesting observation when we were driving.
Yeah, I was looking at all the cars, and I was noticing that they all seem to be very similar. They all kind of look alike. And the most interesting to me is the color combinations. There just weren't a lot of color out there on the road.
Yeah.
I can remember, some of my first cars, bright red, bright green, yellow. But now everything is white, black, metal colors.
And the cars all look the same.
Yeah.
So it's hard to tell a Nissan from a Hyundai.
Yeah, you
from
have to kind of look at the emblem or the logo.
You got to look at the emblem. And when I was a youngster, I used to follow cars a lot more closely.
Well, when you were a youngster, they still had the Flintstone
Oh, that's
wheels.
funny.
Yeah.
That's funny, Maureen. That's very funny. Maureen's playing the Catskills this weekend, folks. So go check her out.
Yeah.
When I was a kid, I used to be into cars. And my dad, every year when the new cars would come out, he would take me to the car showrooms. Mm-hmm. Well, I would bug him to take me to the car showrooms.
Okay.
And he would go in and, just say hello to the salespeople and say, oh, my son is a car hound. I was a car hound or a radio hound. Mm-hmm. And I would stock up with an armful of the sales brochures.
If it's free, it's for me.
And take them home. And so I knew what all the models were. I could tell the difference between a Chevy Biscayne and a Chevy Impala. Mm-hmm. And they have different trim levels.
Whatever.
Some have no chrome, some have a lot of chrome. Mm-hmm. And I knew all the models, and I knew the Ford Fairlane and the Comet, and I knew all the Mercurys, the Comet and the Meteor and the Monterey and the Marauder.
Name dropping.
And I just showing you that I knew the names.
I believe
and
you. I have no doubt in the world.
Drive down the road with my dad, and I could pick them out like that.
Well, good for you.
Today. She's not cutting me any slack this week.
No, people like it when I'm sassy.
Yeah, I know. Still, the show with me with the towel stuck in my mouth, the most watched video version of our show ever.
And of course.
The one where we had the thing
where
in my mouth
to
shut me up.
Yeah.
So I knew all these cars. And today, when we're going down the road, I can't tell one from another. And I don't know how much of that is the fact that I just don't follow that stuff like I did when I was a kid, or if the cars really are just so homogenized.
I think
that they all look the same.
I think for the most part, like certain levels of cars kind of all are homogenized. Like if you're looking at SUVs, say, they're all kind of built similarly because they do the same kind of thing. Or if you're looking for like a mid-sized car, I think like the Elantra and the Sonata look very much like the Altima, or, I think certain categories of cars kind of look the same.
Well, I did some research.
Okay.
And I found out that there are a number of reasons why the cars all look the same.
Okay. And they are.
The number one reason, aerodynamics. Mm-hmm. How do we get a faster car, a lighter car? How do we get a car to meet the federal EPA standards for emissions? So weight and ostentatiousness became the enemy.
Yeah. And they want to get good mileage, too, because gas is so expensive.
Because remember, when we were kids back in the 60s, cars were big.
Yeah. I remember my dad got a Studebaker Lark, which was considered a compact car in that day.
Yeah.
And it was huge. It's probably the size of one of our bigger
mid-size
cars now.
cars today. Yeah. And I learned to drive in my father's 1968 Pontiac Tempest. The car was a rocket ship. It was a sky blue with I think it had a blue interior. Beautiful car. Fast. For you guys that are into engines, it had the 350 cubic inch 8-cylinder engine. It was a rocket ship. But that car had a huge trunk deck. And remember, many years ago, we bought a car from a friend of mine.
Right, the old Buick.
The Buick, I think it was a Skylark or something. And I think that was a 68. And what do you remember about that Buick?
It went fast. It had an 8-cylinder engine.
Had the same engine.
And it was probably just as big in the front as it was in the rear.
It was a boat.
Yeah.
It was like a boat. In fact, they used to use the term land yachts for these big cars. And this car, the trunk deck was enormous. And our kids, who were just very young at the time, they liked it because the back seat was so wide that they could be far apart from one another.
Nobody's breathing on me.
Nobody's looking at me. Nobody's breathing. You're too close. And we had that car for a few years. And then it finally just went and we had to get rid of it. But the thing that I remember about it is it was just so damn big.
Yeah.
And, of course, in those days, what was different? Well, we didn't worry about gasoline. We didn't worry about... Gas was cheap. You know, when I got my driver's license in high school in the late 60s, like you did, gasoline was 28 cents a gallon.
I remember like $5 would fill your engine.
Yeah. My dad would give me a $5 bill and say, here, go fill it up. And it filled it up.
Yeah.
You know, now it'll buy you a gallon and a half. So there wasn't all of this concern about conserving gasoline.
Right.
You didn't have the very stringent emissions restrictions. So this really led to a much bigger, much more heavier, and a more ostentatious car. By the time we got into the 1980s, the market had shifted to safety. Because remember, when we were kids, you didn't have seat belts.
No.
You didn't have padded dash.
No air brakes, no
airbags.
Anti-locks.
No airbags, no anti-lock brakes,
Yeah.
no skid control, none of that. And so the first thing that we saw was the emergence in the 1980s of the boxy car, the box on wheels. And who was the big purveyor of that?
Volvo.
Right.
But their cars still look kind of boxy.
No, not anymore.
No?
No, they're very aerodynamic
I
now.
stand corrected.
Yeah.
Whoa.
They look like everybody else's cars now because Volvo felt that the box was the safest shape to build a car in, but hardly aerodynamic.
Right.
You know, even when you were kids and you were building a street racer for yourself, you built it low to the ground. You didn't try to, not have it boxy.
Yeah. Yeah.
So the real death knell for cars as we do them was emissions, regulation, and now the cars all look the same because they are all tested in the wind tunnel. And the wind tunnel is designed to show the way to make the car aerodynamic, to make it slip through the wind. And there was an article in Popular Mechanics years ago, and Popular Mechanics explained the situation as the wind doesn't care how nice the grill is on your car. It really doesn't care if your car has a grill or not. What the wind is hoping for is that your car is shaped like a raindrop or a bullet. And so that's why the cars all look the same. Safety, aerodynamics, saving fuel. But another reason is the car manufacturers are now at the point where they can say, we've been designing and building automobiles for well over 100 years. We're at the point where no further big design changes are necessary. We learned in that 100+ years what's going to work and what's not going to work. And that's not going to change. Now that they understand
they perfected the process.
They perfected that they know the physics. They learn the physics. And physics will never change. It is eternal, right?
I think so.
So it's like we've got the design. We know what works. There's no need to change. There's no need for more experimentation in this. The other is cars are so expensive to produce now, and money is so tight that the automotive companies don't even want to go out on a limb to try a new design.
Right. And the cost of retooling and refurbishing all their manufacturing processes will just add on to the cost of the car, and then the car becomes unsellable because people can't afford to buy it.
If you look at cars today, there's not a lot of change from year to year. Maybe every third or fourth year, there is a more radical change in the look of the car. But from year to year, not a whole lot of change. Sometimes there's no change from year to year. Or maybe they just, they tweak the shape of the headlights or the grille or something.
Yeah.
But it
Add a little stripe or something, yeah.
They're saying that the days of really seeing cars with radical changes in the look of the car, those days are gone.
Okay. Now, what do you think about like the hybrid cars and the electric cars? Will that change the shape, you think?
I don't think so, because you still want the car to be aerodynamic, because you might not be burning gasoline in an electric car, but still, if you have more wind resistance and more weight and more drag on that car, you're still powering an electric motor. And so that battery will wear down faster. So you still want the car to be light and aerodynamic, because you're saving energy one way or the other. You're either saving gasoline or diesel, or you're saving battery power.
Okay. Just questioning.
Now, the other
Inquiring
thing,
minds wanted to know.
and you got your answer.
There.
So the other thing that we discovered was not only do the cars all look alike in terms of the shape and the design, but the colors. Like you said, it comes down to like
White, black, various shades of like the metal, the gray, the silver, titanium, or platinum, I think they call it. Those are the main colors you see on the road. And every so
once
often,
in a while a red.
A red, once in a while a blue. That's
You're not seeing a lot of yellow, teal. Remember teal was out a while ago?
Yeah.
One of the car makers, I think it was Mini Cooper, recently came out with a palette of something like 12 or 13 new colors. Nobody wanted them.
Isn't that something?
No. The reason why cars are all the same color is it's market driven, like everything else.
That's what sells.
It's what people want.
But, I wonder, in our experience now, whenever we've bought a car, we've always bought something off the lot. We've never custom ordered a car to our specifications, or
Right.
said we wanted this color with that kind of an interior. We always picked what's on the lot. So I feel like some of the psychology of that they're putting into your color choices as a reflection on you may or may not be really valid, because you're picking from what's there.
I wonder how many of you out there, when you buy a car, do you specifically order the color that you want? I know my father did. And he was buying a car and he wanted a brown or something. And they kept saying it's not, there's a delay, 3 weeks, 4 weeks, 2 months, and it never happened. So my father just said, well, just give me whatever the hell you've got on the lot.
Yeah.
And he wound up with a white one, And we've never ordered a car by color.
Right.
We got what was on the lot. The most colorful cars we had that copper-colored Dodge Colt that we had. Remember that? The little
right.
Dodge Colt? That was
Yeah.
like a gold copper color sort of a thing. When I got out of college, my dad bought me a new car, and it was a Chevrolet Monza,
Right.
and that was like a forest green.
And it had like metal flakes in it.
That was a
Yeah.
pretty color.
Yeah.
Until the lady across the street from the apartment that we lived in
Backed into it.
backed into it, and my little Chevy Monza was now shaped like a U.
Like a little horseshoe.
So it was only good if you were making a left turn, because it would just go like this. And she came out of the house, remember? And she heard me starting it.
Right.
And it started. It would just never roll again.
Right.
But she heard me start it, and she says to me, well, it ought to be okay. It starts. And I was like, that's all it does.
Yeah.
That's, may I welcome you to the assigned risk pool. That's all it does.
Yeah. So, so we've done some research and looking at what the experts say, the colors say about you.
Yeah.
And like I said, I kind of take a little bit of an asterisk to that because I feel like these are what it says about you if you were choosing these colors. But if they're chosen for you and you're just picking what's off the lot,
then all bets are off.
I don't know.
All bets are off. Now, I gave you the report, which is by PPG. PPG is a company that they make the paint that goes on cars.
Okay.
It's actually Pittsburgh Plate Glass Company.
Okay.
And they make all of these coatings and polymers and paints that go on cars. So they know what the automotive makers are calling for, and they understand the research that goes into formulating the color of the paints that they're going to manufacture. So that's where this is coming from. So what have you got there?
Well, it's funny because the most blah color white to me, and we have a white car.
Yes. Which we didn't want.
Right.
Again, it was what was on the lot.
It was what was on the lot. That the white has been a top pick since the 90s, it says. Yeah. And they said that, interestingly enough, that the popularity of Apple products, all the iPads and iPhones and everything, are white. And people like them, so they therefore like white in their world.
Yeah.
And that has trickled down into color choice for cars. And they said that it puts a fresh face to the world. It's very sleek. It's clean, and people like that. And it says what it says about you psychologically is that you can handle a million details and are often asked to take on more than is expected of others. And of people that choose white, others see you as diligent, hardworking, and someone whom they can depend on. Now, I don't know where they're getting that from, but that's what the research shows. Then the next one was black. And people who choose black cars want to show confidence and sophistication. They often love being in control. And it can also signify a driver who's defined and strong, or at least wants to be perceived that way. And the slick, shiny nature of well-executed black paint can lend a classy or upscale vibe even to less expensive cars.
We did have a black Hyundai Elantra, and I liked it. It was like a metal flake black.
It was nice, yeah.
It was beautiful. I remember taking it to the car wash, and the guy there saying to me, "Boy, this really looks elegant." In the black.
No, it's a good look.
That's the one that we lost in Hurricane Sandy, I think, was the black one. That one wound up.
I think so.
Wound up under 4 feet of water.
Oh, well. Easy come, easy go. Then comes gray. Now, I'm
sorry.
I don't get that.
I think that's boring.
And they said they're relaxed but have impeccable taste. Are typically mature, dignified people, never flashy. And they're also peaceful people who compromise easily and are perceived as different than the silver. It's a little calming, less shiny. And new ideas inspire you, but you are wise enough to know which ones are worth following and which ones aren't.
Never let management know that you drive a gray car because they'll say, well, here's a guy that we can crap all over. Well, he's driving a gray car.
And it's funny. A very long time ago, the first car my sister and I went in on together.
It was a Ford Falcon.
It was a Ford Falcon. It was a leftover. It was a used car that we got at auction, and it was the retired cars from PSE&G, was the power company here, and their meter readers would drive around in them, and they were a dark gray. You never saw dark gray cars back in those times, except from PSE&G, and I had this ugly gray car, but the thing worked. We paid like $250 for it. My sister and I split the cost.
And you got your money's worth.
And we got our money's worth. I mean, it rode for quite a few years, and then when it went, but it didn't owe us a cent.
Yeah.
But it was ugly. It was an ugly car. But that's
But there was a beautiful woman driving it.
Oh, now you see why I love this guy? He's trying to win his way back to the audience because you all like me better. Right?
Especially now that you have your beautiful red hair.
Oh, here we go. Now we got all the compliments coming. Yeah. Thank you.
Everybody noticed Maureen's new hair. Isn't it beautiful?
Thank you.
And I said, how long did I tell you? Do red hair. Maureen, do your red hair. You've got those green Irish eyes. It's perfect for you. And you're no, I don't want to do that. No, and now you like it. And guess what, folks? I do like green eggs and ham, says Maureen.
Shall I go on?
Yes, please.
Then we have silver is another option.
Don't like silver cars.
No, I don't either. But they have more metallic in it than the gray.
Yeah.
Like the gray cousins. The silver is like the cousin of gray. It's similar to laptops and stainless steel kitchen appliances, which we all know in HGTV land is king.
Yes. And the laptops they're all gray.
Silver.
Except the Apple ones. Yeah, silver.
Yeah. And so these drivers are perceived as into modern styling. Silver lovers tend to be business savvy, upbeat, energetic individuals. And luckily for their owners' busy lifestyle, silver cars are top notch for camouflaging grime and scratches.
Is that it?
Yep.
Okay, I have some here. This is from an article in a magazine, Meaning and Psychology. And the article was called Color Psychology Meaning. What your car color says about you. And these folks said, black, it is difficult to go wrong with a black car. It looks good. So a focus and a pride on appearances is important. Despite appearances being important, it could suggest a reserved and private personality, perhaps introverted, often seeking their own company. However, it could also imply a strong desire to be respected and to gain social status. People who prioritize social status and respect from their peers are usually more extroverted people that live in the moment. Owning a black car may suggest strong primal survival instincts and motivating them. They wish to be unseen, to remain under the radar because they feel that they need to protect themselves. It may also suggest a motivation to feel powerful and strong, as black is associated with these meanings. Black is very respectable, sophisticated, a professional color for a car, and being seen this way is important to these people.
And another color that you do see, at least if you do see color at all, is red. And if you're a red car, you're likely a showy person. You're a magnetic person.
I always liked
a red
attention.
Car. I do
Especially
too.
like a candy apple red.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I like them too. And you love attention, which they say isn't hard to get if you're that kind of a personality, that you're flashy and you're out there. Red car owners tackle challenges head on, but can be restless and aggressive at times. Some people think red cars attract more speeding tickets due to their hot rod appearance, but there's no hard data to support that.
Silver. Silver, this article says, is probably the most popular color choice for a car. Again, I care not for it. It's a very practical color choice for a couple of reasons. It's one of the safest colors because of its high visibility. Due to their popularity, they also tend to hold their value better than the other colors. Silver is definitely a wise, practical choice. It also suggests a desire for the conventional. They don't want to stand out. These people want to fit in, and they have a strong priority to be normal. Okay, so that is silver. Let's see, gray. Gray is similar to silver. As you said, they're the cousins. Suggesting very different reasons, though, for choosing a gray car. It's a darker color, so the focus on safety visibility is less likely as a selection factor. The motivation for choosing a gray car could be a desire to be a little bit different and unique, but not that different. Not wanting to stand out. White is the choice of car color for the perfectionist. I think you had that too in your
Yes,
research. They have an obsession for cleanliness. It is also the choice of someone that doesn't mind attention or being noticed. Now we get into a little bit of color here. Dark blue or green. Choosing a dark blue or green car suggests seriousness, reserved and not looking for attention, probably introverted in personality, someone who enjoys their time alone. It shows more conventional thinking and probably a traditionalist. Perhaps not a great deal of effort going into their color choice. Functional, just a car. Not interested in materialistic possessions. People who are not interested in the materialistic tend to focus more on their energies on friends and family and generally the simpler things in life.
But interestingly, in that PPG article from the Pittsburgh Paint Company or whatever, they say that blue is starting to pick up some traction, and they predict that in the upcoming years, blue will pass white as the popular choice.
I hope so.
And they said that that will be the pick for resale value will be a blue car, and that they see it pop up consistently in recent auto shows. The blue.
Well, I hope so. Just the white is just so conventional. There's just so much of it.
Yeah.
It's like you shouldn't be allowed to drive a white car after Labor Day. Should be like wearing, white pants.
Right, yeah, no white shoes, yeah.
Yeah. Red. Now, as I said, red is a color that I always liked in a car, especially if it's a nice fiery red or a candy apple. Choosing red is a sign that someone is confident when dealing with attention, probably socially confident, that either likes or seeks attention. Gee, I wonder if we know anybody like that. Red is probably their favorite color with a desire to express their likes and emotions. Red is perhaps a practical yet conventional choice. Red-colored cars are among the safest on the road because they stand out, and so do their drivers. Dark reds, maroon, burgundy. We had a burgundy car, right? Wasn't our Taurus a burgundy?
That was almost like an eggplant. It was kind of like a purpley tint to it.
They are reserve colors. However, they do have character, and they are associated with luxury and wealth. Dark red may suggest a need for expression, for the love of color. Perhaps red is their favorite color. However, they're not looking for attention. Perhaps it's a subtle way of seeking approval, social status, and to seem more sophisticated. So those are what the colors supposedly mean.
Could mean, yeah.
Could mean regarding your personality. Hope you had some fun with that. Well, that's the sound that means it's time to play our Boomer Trivia Quiz.
Yes.
So you have a card, and I have a card, and all God's children have a card. What category are you going to hit me with there, kid?
I'm just trying to read it right now. Okay, how about whatever NN is? Is that news?
I think that's news.
Okay. That's what's on. We don't have to pick the same category. I'm just looking at these things here. And I try to be fair, and I try to pick something that I think it's possible you might know, but it might be challenging nonetheless. So, okay. Now, here we go. What first did Mother Seton achieve on September 14th, 1975? It's Elizabeth Ann Seton.
Yep.
Patroness of Seton Hall
Seton
University.
Hall University, our alma mater. She became a saint.
I need some more information.
You need more information.
Lots of people become saints. What was
The first American to become a saint.
Absolutely.
There we go. There we go. Winner,
She was
chicken
the
dinner.
First U.S. born saint.
Wow. How about he pulled it out, folks?
Yeah.
Okay. Are you ready for yours?
I guess.
Okay, here we go. Let's see. Something that I think you might be able to get. Okay. What kind of car was driven to the levee? What kind of car was driven to the levee?
I know this one.
Yeah?
Yeah.
You don't even need to think it over.
I don't even have to think it over.
Okay, go ahead.
Drove my Chevy to the levee.
Oh, the answer is a Chevy.
American Pie.
How
Don McLean.
How about that?
And how fortuitous that the card went along with the topic of
With
our
our
show.
topic, yeah. And we didn't even plan that one.
No, you saw. I just pulled it out of the box. So.
Yeah, we planned everything else on the show for today, but we didn't plan that one. So you got it right, and I got it right.
1-1.
How
Woo-hoo.
about that?
Do we need a tiebreaker?
We don't have time for the tiebreaker.
Oh.
Hey, listen, we hope that you enjoyed our show this week, and we hope that you're having a great Memorial Day weekend. We're recording this show on the Sunday evening before Memorial Day, and the weather here in the New York City area has just been crappy.
Yeah.
It's been cold and rainy and very November-ish.
I actually wore a sweater and a winter coat out today.
So the weather is supposed to be very decent tomorrow. So if you're listening to our show on Memorial Day, fly your flag if you've got one, and have a great time, and we'll see you next week. I'm Pete Torriello.
And I'm Maureen Torriello.
Now, go out there and make some noise.